Hello everybody! So, today, I'm going to do another thread response to Steve from All the World's Estates. Yeah, I've known Steve, well we haven't really met, but still. I've known Steve, I've known his channel for quite a while now. And he's pretty nice. Steve is pretty entertaining. So he just recently made a video called, and he also bought a new turntable. That's what the video is about. He made a video called, "What 3 albums would you play when you get a new turntable?" So he bought a new turntable, and he played 3 albums that he showed with his new turntable, and so he wants us to show. What 3 albums would you play when you get a new turntable? Now, if you're not familiar with Steve or his channel, All the World's Estates, well, have you been living under a rock? Anyway, if you're not familiar with them, go subscribe to his channel. If I remember, I'll put a link to his channel in the description. So, yeah, so he wants us to show albums. What albums would we play if we got a new turntable? Now, before I show these 3 albums to you, let me give you a story. Let me just tell you a story about my record collection. Now, I love vinyl. I'm not much of a CD or cassette guy. I do own some of them, but vinyl is the way for me. I just love vinyl records deeply in my heart. I just love them. And, so I got my own record player, my own turntable. I still have it. I'm still using it to this day. Whenever I get new albums to add to my collection, or whenever I just like to play some of my old ones, I use it. It looks like a suitcase, and it's a Victrola. I know a lot of people don't like Victrolas, but I don't know, I like it. It seems to do good for me. Yeah. So I've had that turntable for I believe it was 2018, 2018. So that's 5 years ago. Yeah, I believe I got that baby 5 years ago. So, yeah. One day, out of the blue, my parents just gave me that record player. And now, as you can see, I am young. Okay? So I am not like a lot of those other kids out there who, for some reason, likes today's music. I do not like today's music, okay? I do not like today's music. I don't know why kids these days like them. I just don't know why. It's not good. It is not good. That stupid rap crap. I'm not into that. See? And I really gotta thank my parents for getting me into bands like AC/DC, The Beatles, Guns N' Roses. Well, I kind of discovered Iron Maiden by myself, but still, you get the idea. So yeah, one day my parents gave me my own turntable, that Victrola, 5 years ago. I still, again, use it to this day. And these 3 albums I'm going to show you are actually the first 3 albums that I actually played on that thing. So if I get a new turntable, these 3 albums is what I would play. Just kind of relive that nostalgia from when I got my first one. So yeah. And also, remember, I know a lot of people, they do sometimes forget as years go by what albums they did get. But no, not for me. I remember very vividly, along with the order that I played in. And that also, again, if I had my own, if I had a new turntable, I would also play it in the order that I did for these albums. So I also remember the order that I played them in. So, the first album I ever played on that turntable, first one I ever played, was Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Now back then, back in 2018, that was before I got into Dream Theater. Pink Floyd back then was my favorite band. I just could not get enough of them. So, of course, I had to play this one first. I was like, oh, yeah. Now, I have heard this album before. Duh. But hearing it through vinyl, it's kind of different. I mean, just listening to it on vinyl, especially with that big gap, side 1, side 2, that whole thing, that, I don't know, that actually kind of changed a little bit. Like, it was so different than to listening to the whole thing on, digital, YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that. So, hearing it on vinyl, yeah, it was quite of a difference. Again, that big gap, the side 1, side 2. Yeah, so it was a bit of a difference. Yeah, like I said, I was a huge Pink Floyd fanatic back then. I mean, I still am, but Dream Theater has now took my life. But yeah, back then Pink Floyd was my favorite band. If I was talking to someone about music, I would definitely talk about Pink Floyd hours on end. But now I would talk about Dream Theater for hours on end. But yeah, I just remember just having a good time listening to this album for the first time on my record player. Yeah, I remember just looking at the gatefold, just reading the lyrics to every song. Like I said, first album I ever played on that thing. And yeah, it was, again, I have heard the album before, but hearing it on vinyl was kind of, it's kind of more flesh. Like, I have never heard the album like that before. It was more flesh. Yeah, so, and once again, that big side 1, side 2 gap. Gotta get used to that once in a while. But yeah, that was the first album I ever played. The second one was Metallica, Master of Puppets. I was also a huge Metallica fan back then. They were probably my second favorite band, along with, Pink Floyd. Now I would say they're probably, like, my third favorite band. But yeah, Metallica, Master of Puppets. Once again, there was some songs I've never heard before, actually. But I had heard the majority of it, songs like, of course, Metallica, like Master of Puppets, Sanitarium, A Lion. But there were some songs that I've never really heard before. Battery, The Thing That Should Not Be, Disposable Heroes, Leper Messiah, Damage Inc. Yeah, so I was kind of new to some of those songs, but it was still a great time hearing the songs that I've already heard before. And once again, it was just a blast listening to this album in full. Yes, this is a remaster. By the way, that was also remastered too. So, of course, back then in the respective years, 1973 and 1986, of course, the remasters, it kind of fixes things a little bit, but it's just, of course, the original is definitely better. Oh, and by the way, I've always loved that album cover. I've always loved that. I also remember looking in the back too, just looking at these guys, like, huh. So there's some pretty tough looking guys right there. Yeah. And, now this isn't my favorite Metallica album, by the way, but it is probably my favorite of the classic era. So yeah. Again, just a great time. And I also remember looking at there was like a download card in here. Like, I can't find it, but there was, like, these new blackened remasters just come with, download cards for some reason. I remember looking at that, what should I do with it? And I just rather just keep it in. But yeah, Metallica, Master of Puppets, another great album. Yeah, that was the second album I played. And then the final album that I played is Led Zeppelin 4. Or, well, it's technically untitled, but a lot of people call it Led Zeppelin 4 because, well, it's the fourth album plus the previous album, so Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 3, so, yeah. And, of course, some fans also call it Zoso because, you know, the record label had that Zoso symbol in it. Yeah. And, again, I have heard, just like Master of Puppets, I had heard most songs on here, but there were a few songs that I have not heard before. I have heard, obviously, Stairway to Heaven, obviously, Black Dog, obviously, Rock and Roll, obviously, those songs. And, of course, Misty Mountain Hop, you know, the classics. But I had not heard the rest of the album. The Battle of Evermore, When the Levee Breaks, Four Sticks, Going to California. Those songs were very good, and I actually kind of prefer those songs. They're like the more underrated side of the album. I actually kind of prefer those songs more than the hits. I mean, don't get me wrong, Stairway to Heaven is my favorite song on the album. Don't get me wrong, that will forever stay my favorite Led Zeppelin song. Don't get me wrong there. But I really love the other songs too, like that are kind of more underrated. Like the Battle of Evermore, especially that the guest vocal by I believe her name was Sandy Denny. Of course, Four Sticks is kind of weird, but it's a good one. And Going to California is one of the most beautiful songs Led Zeppelin ever did. And When the Levee Breaks is definitely one of the best album closers ever. Yeah. The final album that I played out of those 3 albums, Led Zeppelin 4. Yeah. But of course, out of all of them, my favorite was the Dark Side of the Moon. Because again, I was a huge Pink Floyd fan back in 2018. Man, funny how 5 years ago, it was definitely different than what I am now. I've had, like, again, these were the first 3 records I ever gotten. And look at me now. I have so many vinyl records now that I have to get, like, 2 shelves. I have, like, close to 200 now. But see, that's how crazy how those 5 years have gone by. When I first got them, like I said, I only had 3. I didn't realize how many I would get until now. Like I said, look at me. I have over 200, almost 200 vinyl records now. And let me tell you, I am still going to get more. Because I love vinyl. So, yep, that's it. So, once again, and again, these are the 3 albums that I would play if I got a new turntable, just to relive that nostalgia when I got them. And again, in that same order as well. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, first up. Second up, Metallica, Master of Puppets. And the Led Zeppelin 4. I also really love that album cover as well. I mean, it's simple, but it's very iconic. Yeah. I also really love, this gatefold, the only other album here, again, was Dark Side of the Moon, which had a gatefold. Master of Puppets didn't. So I always thought that every gatefold of every album that has gatefold would be like, just like a book. No, this here is sideways. And I've always adored that. I've always loved that artwork. So yeah. Once again, These are the 3 albums that I would play if I got a new turntable. In that order. First, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Second, Metallica, Master of the Puppets. And 3, Led Zeppelin 4. And I still play these babies to this day because they are so freaking good. Just 3 of the best albums of all time. Even though these albums are not my favorite albums of those artists. But still, great first 3 albums to start with. Because, yeah, if you want to collect vinyl records, then I think that you should get these 3 albums first. Because these are great. Just wonderful. So yeah, that's it. That's 3 albums that I would play if I got a new turntable. Thanks to Steve once again for doing this thread. Again, remember to subscribe to this channel. Again, I'll put a link to this channel in the description below. So, yeah, that's it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.